Hey, what is up there, guys? This is Cobb. Welcome to the very first episode ever of Dear Devs. Feels a little bit weird to be recording without a headset on, man, but here we are. In this one, we're going to be talking about endgames. I posited the question to you guys, what element is absolutely required for an endgame in an MMO game to feel complete, for it to feel awesome, for it to feel addicting, right? So the first few comments from you guys are talking all about progression and how progression is handled in endgame, and a lot of shit that I agree with. So let's begin with Mr. Shadow of the Past and his comment, where he says the freedom of choosing what to do on whichever character you like and whenever you feel like it. So a mix of dungeoning, raids, and world quests, and dailies. So not feeling pigeonholed into doing a certain type of content is something that was brought up a hell of a lot, right? People don't like to feel kind of cajoled into being forced to raid in order to, keep their character competitive in a game like WoW. They don't like being forced. There's been, how many times, dude, have we had like insane outcry from people who just want to PvE in WoW, who just want to raid and stuff like that, being forced to do PvP because, it happens rarely, but once in a blue moon, the PvP gear would actually end up being this for PvE for a little while, and so they feel forced to do arenas. No one likes to do that shit, right? People want to progress their character in their own way and spend time doing the things that they want to do, and that they find fun. Surprise, a fucking prize, right? It shouldn't be that big of a... This isn't revelatory stuff, and yet it still seems to be fucked up every now and then. It also makes me think of... Look, I know that people have their own thoughts and opinions and ideas and whatever on Final Fantasy XIV, so I won't harp on it too much. So I am going to bring up MMOs that pertain to certain ideas as we go along. Final Fantasy XIV, when it comes to variety gameplay at endgame, oh my god, dude, do they have a wide endgame, man. Like, you can do whatever the hell you want, pretty much whenever you want. Everything is extremely fucking accessible. You can jump into PvP naked, and your stats will be the same as everybody else. Extremely easy to gear up in terms of item level and things like that. It takes really no time at all, really no effort at all. It's super easy shit, and you spend most of your time grinding things like savage raids and stuff like that in Final Fantasy to unlock cosmetics, to unlock appearances, right? Things are not very power level driven, and as a result, you can spend time doing whatever the hell you want to do, really, at endgame, whether that's grindy stuff, PvE, PvP, whatever the fuck, So, yeah, some MMOs get it right. I was astounded to rejoin World of Warcraft, hop into Shadowlands, and spend the first, 6 weeks. Okay, maybe not quite. 4 or 5 weeks, leveling up, gearing up. Oh my god, the gearing process, dude. Just getting conquest geared for PvP, and then figuring out all of the billion systems and the legendary grinds and just trying to catch up with how everything works, It was just kind of horrible. Next comment actually comes in from Sophie, just kind of underlining this a little bit, and she says, for me, an MMO has to have non-power level progression, something that I can do that furthers my character, but that can be done at my own pace, so I wouldn't be left behind. Some examples are character development, for example, housing and island sanctuaries from Final Fantasy. Island sanctuaries amazing, by the way. WoW really needs fucking player housing, man. They can execute it well enough. It's just... Come on, man. Garrisons don't count, okay? I really feel like they could easily tackle this, to be honest. World development, for example, the Dome and Restoration in FF, which is kind of world building up cities through dailies and stuff like that. It just feels good that your character is having an impact on the world. And collecting such as, glamours and transmogs, pets and mounts. Very, very lovely stuff. Mr. Thor Beyond comes in with the next comment, and my god, man, does Thor bring it home, man. This was the best written comment pertaining to progression at endgame that appeared on the thread, so we're gonna fucking read it, man. Thor says, the freedom to play the game when and how I want, and be able to be equal gear-wise as someone doing something different. I hate arenas, but love battlegrounds. I hate mythics, but love raids. I hate long, boring, mandatory quest lines for bis items, but I love farming. Questing alone on my own terms and professions. I want the freedom to just do what I want and not get left behind because I didn't do some mandatory boring shite. And I agree completely, right? Campaigns in WoW. They're trash, man. They suck. Okay? I don't think they're going to be mandatory in Dragonflight. Fuck yeah, dude. That's such good news, okay? Doing those campaigns and making them mandatory because you need the legendary or whatever the fuck in Shadowlands, or you need to unlock Covenant this or Conduit that. It's bro, Don't do that shit, man. Just fucking, just let us get to max level, right? Pick up some welfare gear and just let us access whatever parts of the game we want to access and just have fun with that shit, man. WoW has a bit of an issue where it ties so many things to power level, which again, it looks like they're taking a big step back from that in Dragonflight, which is great, man. I'm so happy and so optimistic with how Dragonflight is shaping up. I know there's a lot we haven't seen yet, okay? It's a cautious optimism, but I'm really hopeful, man. It's looking okay, you know? I forgot what I was saying, so fuck it, we're just gonna move on. Next comment comes in from Paddy, just to wrap up this one. What makes an epic MMORPG endgame? Well, for me, that will probably be having lots of choice to do the things that I want without making any of those mandatory, while trying to keep the majority of the world relevant in one way or another. So I like this as well, man. Take the classic vanilla WoW as an example. You're level 60 in geared, but you can still go out into the world, farm lots of materials in lots of different zones, keeping the world alive, man. Make the world feel real, you know? A lot of MMOs lose that and it becomes, I'll get to it in a little bit. Not only does this give choice and keeps most of the world relevant, it creates the possibility to write your own story, to go on your own adventure, to make new friends and enemies. I love this, man. This is great, okay? Especially the last part, man, giving you the possibility to write your own story and to go on your own adventure. That's what MMORPGs, I feel, used to be all about. I feel like a lot of games, and like, I'm not just talking about WoW here, man, like a lot of games kind of became World of Qcraft. That makes it sound like I'm just talking about WoW, but a lot of games became like Q for this instance simulator, you know? For God's sake, man, I don't think that's why people play MMOs, you know? People play MMOs because it's literally an alternate reality in which you can kind of lose yourself for a while, and that was the whole appeal, you know? So more of that, please, you know? Keep the world alive, keep the world feeling relevant, man. Don't put people on a goddamn conveyor belt just to make their character keep up with shit, man. It's not that grand, so yeah. Progression, variety, keep the world relevant, and don't tie everything to fucking power level, man. That's what's up with the first batch of comments. Oh, actually, I tell a lie. We got one more comment from Mr. Zion Lol saying his favorite thing in endgame is watching Cobrak PvP montages. Again, that would be fun. Well, we'll see how Dragonflight turns out, okay? And anyway, I want more casual progress ways, earning good things without doing, for example, raids, but investing more time in casual or even dungeon/event activities. So events. That's a big one too, but we're going to get to that in just a little bit, man. In fact, no, we're not. We're going to segue right to that now because the next comment came in from Mr. Zenny, aka, I think, Zenikel from stream. What's up, dude? And he says, I had an interesting chat about this with a colleague today, and we both agreed what makes endgame work for MMOs is fun events over borrowed power system grinds, such as the Invasion event back in Legion pre-patch. I feel most people enjoy them, and yet we rarely have them. So this is an interesting one, man. I think back like to older days in WoW, the more of a noob you are in WoW, dude, the more you enjoy things like Brewfest, right? And the Halloween event, and the Christmas event and stuff like that, you know? I feel like the less you understand, like, holy shit, I need to be doing something productive all the time so that my character stays at maximum power level, the more you can take the time to actually enjoy the existing events in WoW, because I feel like they're actually really good. A lot of them could do with being updated, don't get me wrong. A lot of them could do with being spiced up. I always enjoy doing a little bit of Brewfest action. That was always fun. I completely agree with this dude. I think that, again, Final Fantasy does this amazingly well. I'm sorry I don't comment on more MMOs, by the way. It's just that I just only play WoW and Final Fantasy, so I feel like WoW could do these much better. I feel like they already have the groundwork laid for this as well. I was talking about this on stream the other day, right? And let's see what you guys think about this. I think this would be fucking badass. You know, we have things like the Trial of Style, right? Trial of Style. I think it's like once a month. It's like a transmog competition. You go into there, and it's like a little instanced area, and you get up on the stage and you strike a pose and shit and blah, 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 blah. You don't really get much for it, but whatever, dude. It's there, you know, it's a little bit of fun. Cool. Why are these not held in Orgrimmar, dude? Why are these not held in Orgrimmar? These things should be held in Orgrimmar in, like, the city center, dude. Like, they should be right there for fucking everybody to see, man. Oh, like, fine. Like, make it like a neutral city, you know? Make it in Ouroboros, whatever, you know? If it's in Shadowlands. Make it so that everybody can see and, like, I don't know, the 50 closest people to the event, or the 50, like, up to 50 people in an area can cast their vote or whatever, you know. And make it like an actual spectator event where there's like a lot of people who can heckle the shitty transmogs and can actually vote, you know, as the audience on the one they think looks the most badass. Blah, 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 you know. Make it bigger, make it cool, man. Give it, like, let's have some like real rewards for this as well. Oh yeah, some people are going to get streamer privilege, obviously, but I think that that's just always going to be a thing with like a social event that's like kind of player driven. Still, it'd be fun as fuck. Imagine if we had like goddamn Pokemon tournaments, dude, with like pet battles and stuff, and they were just hosted right there in Orgrimmar. Like a little kind of penned off area appears, right? And you can watch people having pet battles there, and it's got like a little nameplates and little nameplates and like health plates and stuff for the pets, and you can actually. And yeah, I just think it would be cool, right? Right? Stop making these things happen in little instances where people can't see shit or what's going on. It's not really a community event in that way, you know? And I think that you could do a lot of really cool stuff like that, mini games and whatever, tied to all of the big events. And wow, I agree that these things just really shake up Endgame. They are kind of reliant on people not being super obsessed with their character keeping up with grinds and stuff. And I think somebody mentioned before in an earlier comment, all these borrowed power grinds and stuff like that, and farming artifact power and stuff like that. Things like this make it feel bad to spend time doing fun things, because the longer you're, you know, dicking around in pet battles or transmog or glamour competitions or whatever, the more behind your character's getting, you know, and that just kind of sucks. So the culture to encourage people to just fucking take the time to chill out a little bit and actually partake in events needs to be set first, right? You need to lay those foundations, you know? Stop giving players the impression that that they absolutely have to run around all the time and keep their character caught up on power level and item level and gems and all and this, that, and the other thing. Actually give people the time to chill out a little bit in the game world as well, man. Mr. Kione Phoenix says, player-driven community events. Player-driven community events. Here we go, man. As a resident ffxiv player, I got bored of content. What brings me into the game is people doing stuff together. Stuff like hunt trains, RP events like stage plays and parties. Those are amazing, by the way. Like, I've never actually attended one in game, but mass PvP events and anything where a bunch of players get together on their own and screw about is just genuinely fun to interact with. Again, I feel like the entire game's culture needs to kind of shift and be molded around stuff like this, you know? Because it's funny, dude. When you think back to like, man, I remember looking at, you know, PvP videos way back in the day on YouTube, and you'd have just ridiculous, massive, huge, kind of soft planned community PvP events where there'd just be like a 50v50 South Shore Taran Mill, you know, and it would happen organically out in the world. And like, if you missed it, oh my God, you know, and I think it happened as well before Drano, where there was just this massive war outside of the Dark Portal in Blasted Lands. And we're talking like 90v90, man. There were like multiple full raid groups, Alliance and Horde, just going at it outside of the Dark Portal. Like, I'll never forget that shit, man. It was so fucking fun, right? And people went there because, oh, well, it's going to increase my item level. People were there to fuck around because it was at the end of the expansion, and people were just waiting for the next expansion, you know? People didn't have anything to be grinding. They didn't have anything to be kind of wasting their time on, right? So you might as well go partake in the massive war going on in the Blasted Lands, right? Or like back in the day, you've capped out your gear on your character in the Burning Crusade or whatever. And so off to South Shore versus Taran Mill you go, you know? Off you go ganking people and world PvPing and stuff just for the fucking fun of it. Just to abuse your gear and to kill some gankers and whatever, right? Whereas if you've got a borrowed power system in the game, if you've got to be grinding artifact power and there's like no weekly cap to that shit and you're just grinding away, like, that sucks. That sucks, right? Because at any time you take out to dick around in some world PvP or do whatever, right, is actually just lost item level. It's lost power level. Your character's falling behind by you being there. And as a result, these things just didn't really happen that much, man. And, you know, no, fuck it. I think that's all I got to say on that, really, man. Fiona Phoenix does go on to say, the heart and soul of an MMO is the multiplayer, and while Duty Finder and Market Bolts are great conveniences, I find the most enjoyment out of just having fun with a large group of players that all choose to band together for one occasion. And I couldn't agree more, man. It's grand. Next up, we have the transmog/glamour comments, man. The first one coming in from Reverence. Alright, man. Endgame. Reverence, what do you think? One thing that makes for an epic MMO endgame? Well, I think I'd have to pull a little from WoW here. I would like to have some fucking sick as transmog to be able to customize my character's appearance far beyond just standard body customizations. Having the ability to transmog allows even further for a form of self-expression. But in a virtual world, excuse me. It's sort of like how you choose to dress IRL. Alright, all very good, all very lovely points. I agree completely. Yeah, character customizations, visual effects, cosmetics, all of that shit about endgame is fucking grand in my opinion. These are completely legitimate pursuits to have. Like, you guys have heard me talk about this shit before, actually, when it comes to how rewards and incentives are offered, you know, to get people engaged in various types of content. For me, take something like WoW PvP and WoW arenas, right? Rated arenas, rated PvP and WoW, rated instanced PvP and WoW. To me, everybody should just have the same fucking stats, pretty much, you know, so the Destrolock who's naked over here has the same stats as the fully geared guy over here with like 700 item level or whatever. Once they join rated PvP, boom, they have exactly the same stats, right? Make it a level playing field and make all of the cosmetics, make all of the rewards purely cosmetic and make them fucking badasses at that as well, you know? That would be my solution to this. Some people agree vehemently, some people disagree viciously, let's say, you know? But yeah, that's my idea on that, man. I think that this is, again, another thing, because we talk about transmog and glamour here and stuff like that, right? Transmog and customizing your character. Again, I think that this is just something that Final Fantasy does really, really well. And for all of Final Fantasy's faults, for all of the clunkiness of its servers and stuff like that, and for PvP, you know, its PvP combat does leave quite a bit to be desired. I enjoy it, but it is what it is. It's got a lot of limitations with the game that don't make it that great, and WoW's PvP will always be better, even at its most unbalanced state, to be honest. My god, is Final Fantasy XIV extremely, exceptionally amazing when it comes to character customizations, when it comes to transmog. You can obviously change the... you can dye a lot of your gear in Final Fantasy XIV as well. And actually go a little bit of a step further as well. They do things like complete this raid during this event, or complete this dungeon during this event, or whatever, to unlock like a special emote, or a new dance, right? Or a new hairstyle, and things like that, you know? So they really fucking go to town with this, man, and yeah, again, I think I think that the character customization and the gearing and the glamour and the transmog, as you might call it as a WoW player, is easily one of Final Fantasy XIV's. It's one of its high points. It's one of its best points, obviously. Next up, we have a comment from Mr. Sylar. Again, just reinforcing this point, glamour. Final Fantasy's endgame is glamour. It's only glamour. And housing. But glamour, right? Shows you how strongly people feel about this. And it was one of those big things, I've got to be honest, man. It was like a huge culture shock for me. Like coming from World of Warcraft and then playing some Final Fantasy during the end of BFA and Shadowlands and stuff like that. I was like, man, people are obsessed with like their characters' appearances and cosmetics and things like that in this game. Like the amount of time people take, like the amount of slightly, let's call them like illegal or banned add-ons or whatever that people use, because the game doesn't really, it's not really supposed to support add-ons, but people sort of use them in harmless ways, and as long as it's not affecting gameplay, right? They do things like download add-ons for screenshots, filters, things like that, right? Model viewers and things like that. And man, the photographs and the screenshots that people can make with Final Fantasy XIV, man, with like abusing the transmog / glamour system, and they're just amazing, dude. And like this is seriously, as Silas saying, man, this is seriously just the endgame for some people, man. Like they're only interested in new content, like first of all for the story and to see the content, but to farm the content, it's got to have some fucking good ass cosmetics waiting for them at the end, man, because that's all they really want, you know. They're just dreaming about the next photo shoot, man. So yeah, it's definitely a legitimate form of content, and something that honestly all MMOs should be looking to use for their endgames, man. So that's that. Hope you all enjoyed this happy little Dear Devs video. If there's anything that you feel like we missed, again, these were just comments that I mostly pulled from the community tab, so make sure to keep your goddamn eyes peeled for the next community post that is going up. I haven't actually decided on the next community post topic just yet. If you have any ideas for the next Dear Devs video should be all about, make sure to drop that in a comment as well. I'll be reading all of the comments to this video and replying to a bunch too. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, everybody. Hope you all enjoyed this one, and I shall catch all of you guys just a tad bit later.